What is up, rockers? Welcome back here to another Rise of Kingdoms content. In today's video, we have another message here from King J, or also known as Jackie. So, in the previous videos that we've talked about, we have all of these in here that he kind of explained a few things about himself and what happened with the Civil War. Now, there's been a little bit more of a controversy topic within the Civil War because there's always there's always two sides of the story. For now, what we're showing is to you is that King J is the one who was kind of targeted by many players because of his power as well, and his approach to the game is a little bit different than the norm of the player base of Rise of Kingdoms. So to make this story short, basically, there's a civil war in 2953. For what I know, there's some implementations of rules that weren't really agreeable to King J, and therefore, there's a lot more into it. But for the simplicity of it, basically, civil war started because of that. Basically, an alliance is trying to impose certain rules to King J or suggesting certain rules, but he doesn't agree with that one. I think he eventually getting called names of being called noob and stuff, and so those were really the ones that are kind of a eye-opening to Jackie, to where whoa, I didn't expect this is how it is in this video game, that people can take things way too personal, just because they have a different vision or different approaches into the game. So today we got this messages in here, some of the things that are his view. So he's basically asking me with a request here. He says, "Do you think you can help me spread out these words and for players to see my good intention of wanting to help the weaker players and players who might not want to sacrifice everything for KVK, but are affected by strict pro KVK rules enforced in most other kingdoms?" So totally different kingship approach in here. Very untraditional to majority of the kingdoms. And this is one of the biggest reasons why I kind of wanting to follow the topics in here with King J as well, is because of his rebelness. I would say I think it was a little bit more rebelness and a little bit of a Robin Hood approach, because with the statement in here, you're not going to see many whales to say this: helping the weaker players and players who might not want to sacrifice everything for KVK. So if you are playing this game and you want to enjoy the game at a non-KVK level, maybe joining in 2953 will be the best approach that you can do. Reaching out to King J. Perhaps you can enjoy. There's so many things that you can do in Rise of Kingdoms. It's not just about KVK. You can be the best in the Ark of Osiris League, or you can be the best in the Ark of Osiris itself, or you can be the best in Champions of Olympia. There's so many amazing things. There are players who just want to play the events. You don't necessarily have to play KVK. You don't necessarily have to be a warrior or fighting to grind and lose every single troops that you got every few months. So you don't have to be that. You can join this kingdom and be a part of a different culture in Rise of Kingdoms. And I like this. He's kind of pioneering this. So people are looking for a free-to-play kingdom. This might be it, right? The free-to-play kingdom. He said here, "I should have sent you these words earlier so you can include these in your video. I'm sure that it would have a much positive effect when everyone knows the truth that the reason I attack and zero all top alliances that was persistent is because I want to help the weaker players." So is this wrong that he wants to help the weaker players? He says here, who in fact are the majority, but cannot make their voice heard and have always been neglected all this time. Finally, there is a person who is a whale enough to make changes, and that whale has been misunderstood, hatred by many players just because the whale is not very good at explaining, and also has been very busy trying to save weaker players. I don't think I've ever heard a spender or a whale that puts the priority for the weaker players. Typically, spenders or whales wants the free-to-plays, wants the weaker players, because without the weaker players, right, if they stay weak, they become the fathers for rallies. We see this a lot in Imperium Kingdoms. That's what the players become. They become like food, or fillers, right? But in here, what I can see is that King Jay's approach is not to make people like the weaker players become food for enemies. Rather, he wants them to be able to develop and enjoy the game, because, like I mentioned earlier, right, based on what I see from Jackie in here, he's not so concerned about KVK, which majority of the kingdoms are very, very much concerned about KVK. For him, there's other events that you can play and enjoy. So I think he's trying to build a bit more of a fun culture, giving chance to the players that were neglected in other kingdoms or in other servers. If they want to restart, this might be a kingdom that might be good for them. So this seems to be a good kingdom for players that are gonna be like weak, because you have a chance here to become something out of nothing if you are in the other kingdoms. So basically, what he's saying here, he's been misunderstood and hatred by many players. Which when he takes the power out of the stronger players or the more dedicated players that are like power hungry, then of course these people will get mad and say bad things to the person who removed the power, right? Um, he says here, and I want to ask you if it would be possible for you to also help spread my idea of what a successful kingdom is, or what a successful kingdom should be like. My idea of a successful kingdom is different, 99.99%, like Safeguard, just kidding, of all the other players. But if they would actually stop trolling me and listen, plus think along with my logic, I support my belief of what a successful kingdom is. I am sure many of them will actually agree with me. So let's hear him out in here. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Because even for me, everybody has their own version of successful kingdom. All right. So let's see what he's got here to say. Now, a successful kingdom is a kingdom that its people can enjoy rock in their own way, without being guided or told that there's only one right way of playing, and if you play differently other than how I told you to play, then you are a noob, and then you get destroyed. I like it. I like this because it's really free and it's chill, and a lot of players, like people just starting out in the game, and you get matched in like ballads, or the Cyrillic crisis, and then you make mistakes, you didn't even know anything because it's your first time, then you just get called noob. It's really hard. I think the community, it's so like grouchy, I would say. Anyway, he says here, a successful kingdom is a kingdom that hears the voice of the weak players as well as the stronger ones. A successful kingdom should not have rules that take away everything from the weak and give it to the already strong players. Does the free players agree with this? In all, a successful kingdom is a kingdom that has freedom, and player can choose how they want to play and enjoy rock. They can play in whatever they want. Of course, they will have to be under some control, but the control will be nowhere near like the other kingdoms might be doing, and doesn't get harassed. A successful kingdom is a kingdom that the players are able to achieve some of their goals, and some, of course, with winning KVK can also be an indication of successful kingdom. But it is not the only indication that determines it. So it would be so wrong to say a kingdom that didn't win a KVK are failures. I like that, because I've been in kingdoms where we lost KVKs, and I've been in a situation where we won KVKs, and I never considered that kingdom as a failure kingdom. So all in all, the main point I would like you to stress is to respect the differences in a society. It's no different to in the past when you discriminate against skin color. Yeah, I agree. Discriminating against women as well, you should never do that. And even discriminating and bullying against LGBTQ. That is why we have people protesting for women's rights, gay rights, and we also have colored people protesting. And also, One of the biggest thing that also happened a lot, right? In especially during the COVID, is Asians also being discriminated. So, want to put that in here as well. When you don't respect people's differences, that's what happened. So, yeah. Also, I respect you all for catering everything towards KVK. I am not saying that it's a bad thing to do. I respect you. I respect your way of doing things, and I never intervene the way other people run their kingdom. Why should you intervene with mine? You run your kingdom, I run mine. So, I mean, he's got good points in here, Respecting is a two-way street. Um, he kind of brought in a little bit of politics in here, which is, kind of somewhat within the game, Rise of Kingdoms. There is a fine line of reality in gaming, and sometimes the reality in gaming kind of like overlaps each other because there's still persons playing within the game. Respecting each other is definitely an important thing. Definitely do not discriminate, with all these things that he's mentioned in here. So this is pretty much what King J has to say with the successful kingdom. It really depends on each person to kind of judge what is a successful kingdom. I can't tell you that this is how you should define it, but there are many options to define a successful kingdom. King J here, or Jackie, have now defined a successful kingdom in his version that is going to be working for 2953. With that being said, rockers, if you guys have any serious question or you guys want to reach out to King J, I think the best way to approach it is don't ask me stuff. You can leave it down in the comment section below. He'll see it. He'll probably respond. Or the best way to do is send him a mail. Don't send him a chat. Send him a mail so he can see it, because if it's chat, it's going to get flooded. So reach out to him. Ask him his ideas. Pick his brain a little bit more and get to know him a little bit. He's not a bad guy, He's not. I don't even think the enemies that he's been with are bad guys or bad women as well. They are good players, just had a very stressful beginning in the Rise of Kingdoms, I would say, for them. I don't think anybody in Rise of Kingdoms is bad, no matter what trolling they do. I'm sure once they get out of the game, they are nice people. But anyway, we're one community. We may all have our differences, but at the end of the day, we all play the same game. Anyway, rockers, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys again next time.